Hey everybody, this is Dr. William Clark here, and before we jump into our show, I wanted to share a resource with you that can help you get your podcasting off the ground. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it is 100% free and really easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad to you. So if you want to get started with podcasting and you want to make it as simple as possible, go ahead and visit anchor.fm/start. Now, let's jump into our show. Hi, everyone. Glad you were able to join me today. And I'm glad you're a part of this podcast today because we have been talking about how to finish the year strong. And there are many of you who are still trying to figure out how to finish the year strong. Do you have questions about why finishing the year strong matters? Do you have questions about how to set goals for 2020? Are you wondering what's the best way, what's the best strategy to move forward from this year and building upon that to do something better and different and greater in 2020? Well, I'm glad you're part of this podcast. I'm Dr. William Clark, and I'm glad to walk you through some thoughts about how to lay the foundation for progress. Now, I happen to believe that 2019 was not a complete waste. Now, you may argue with me and say, look, Doc, you weren't a part of my life. You weren't here. You didn't know what went wrong. You didn't know how I failed, how the business failed, how the strategy failed, etc. And I'm not going to argue that point. But I will say I've had my own share of failure in 2019, even though I will gladly tell you on the flip side, I had some success as well. And what I've come to appreciate year after year is that I, too, like everyone else, sets a series of goals that I want to accomplish at the beginning of the year, and I may or may not accomplish all of them. But there's something I learned this year that I've been sharing with my podcast listeners, and that is, even though I've set goals to accomplish this year, that does not mean I am supposed to, or I was designed or purposed to complete all those goals. As a matter of fact, the goals that I've set that I did not achieve, I have learned, and it has been confirmed and affirmed that those goals that were not achieved were not for me. They were not designed for me. They were not purposed for me. And perhaps you find yourself in a situation, if you just give some thought to it, that some of the businesses you wanted to launch that you thought were a good idea, and they probably were great ideas, but it wasn't for you. Some of the strategies you wanted to deploy, they probably were the smartest that you could come up with, but they weren't for you. Some of the business partners you wanted to work with who probably had everything you needed, resources, relationships, etc., they probably were great, but they weren't great for you. And so all the failures that you've had in 2019, in fact, were more or less than pointers, arrows, directions to where you need to be. You didn't lose. You got directed to another place. You were pushed away from the current place so that you can find where you are now. And for some of you listening, you may have gotten to a place where you realized, oh my goodness, I am where I need to be right now. I have been affirmed and confirmed in my purpose and in my drive and in my destiny, and I know where I'm supposed to be. And everything that fell to the wayside, friends, family, partnership strategies, businesses, etc., everything I lost was lost for a purpose, and I'm glad for it. Perhaps you're still in the boat where you're saying, I'm not sure. Well, let me encourage you that the losses, the failures, the miscues, the missteps, the desertion, people leaving you, anything that's happened to you that you didn't find positive, in fact, was designed to push you closer and closer and closer to where you need to be. Now, I want to help you lay the foundation for progress this morning in this podcast. Now, progress is essential to us closing the year out strong, and it's essential to us going into 2020 with extreme confidence and with extreme focus. Now, there are three things I want to share with you about how to lay the foundation for progress. Number one, again, the theme of the past 2 months, a handful of months here together on this podcast, finish the year strong. You have to finish the year strong. Now, here are a couple of things that I want you to think about when it comes to finishing the year strong. I want you to take your product or your service or the thing that you plan to carry into 2020, and I want you to continue to market it. I want you to continue to sell it, and I want you to continue to close buyers on it. even though the year is winding up, and even though there are 3 weeks left before the year turns to 2020, you still have 3 weeks to sell someone, to sell products, to sell tickets, to sell services, to consult somebody before the year is out. Do not give up on marketing, selling, and closing other people to buy your product, because you want that feeling of momentum deep in your soul going into 2020, knowing that I got at least one more sale. I closed one more customer. I was able to market to one more set of eyeballs. That stuff matters as it relates to laying the foundation for progress. And when you're able to get that one more thing done and see the results of that one more thing, you're laying a foundation and you're laying momentum for you to go into 2020 with positive thinking, positive affirmation, positive thoughts, etc. And I want you to have that feeling. Now, after you've finished the year out strong, I want you to do something here. And this is very hard for some of us, right? But it's important. I want you to tighten your message. Now, you may feel that you've gotten your message down, and probably so, but there's always opportunities to get better at conveying your message. In the marketing world, they call this creating sales copy, right? This is where you put down words to paper or words to screen, and these are the words that people either see or hear related to your project, or product, or service. And the sales copy can always be tweaked so that it can convey a better message, a cleaner message, a tighter message for an audience that is looking for what you have. Throughout this year alone, while I have a tight message for the programs that I run and the nonprofit that I help lead, and I've launched other projects this year, and the messages have been tight, the more I talk about those products, programs, projects, services, etc., the tighter the message becomes, where I can say what I need to say in 5 words or less, or 3 words or less, or 1 sentence or less. And I know the person listening to me, reading my message, hearing my story, they get it. The point is to help people get it quickly. If it takes you a long time to communicate to your potential buyer, to your potential customer, your potential partner, then you don't have a tight message. And if you don't have a tight message, then it's very difficult for you to convey something to this person that will cause massive action. Without action, there are no sales. Without action, there are no new people coming to your program. Without action, there are no people sharing your story. Without action, there's no one telling other people about your product, your service, your business, your ministry, etc. You must take action, and you must articulate a tight message, a clear message, a purposeful message. So as you lay the foundation for progress, please take pride in finishing the year strong, but also tighten your message. Okay? And lastly, I want to encourage you to lay the foundation for progress. Number 1, finish the year strong, tighten your message. Third, and last but not least, I want you to expect to do 2020 better than you did 2019 in every way. Things have fallen off to the wayside. You've made some mistakes. You've failed in some instances. Some relationships, by the grace of God, have dissolved, and you're now free to do what you need to do. Whatever has happened bad, I need you to take it and flip the perspective and see how it's going to help you better in 2020. Whatever has happened that was good, progressive, that resulted in sales, that resulted in traction, I want you to take that and do that better. Things that were mediocre, I want you to either determine that it is not worth to improve on, or I want you to determine that we're going to improve on it and make it one of our core competencies and skill sets and make it awesome in 2020. This is how you do 2020 better than 2019. I refuse to have the same results. I refuse to have the same failures. I refuse to have the same success. I want greater success. I want fewer failures. I want tighter focus. I don't want to be in the middle. I don't want mediocrity. I don't want anything that's going to distract me from being better in 2020, because I am determined to grow and progress and to win. And I may not grow by 10 or by 20, but I may double my growth. And if I double my growth, it's because I'm doing something better and more intentional. I want you to lay the foundation for progress in 2020, and it starts right now. With 3 weeks left in the year, you can do it, and I believe in you. And I believe in you so much that I want you to come back to this podcast every day, replay old content, play new content. Join me at drwilliampclark.com. Connect with me there to connect with me on social media and all platforms. You can get to my resources there as well. Join a live class. I am here to help you and support you to lay the foundation toward the progress that matters most to you. And I am expecting and looking forward to you succeeding and doing the things that you have set for yourself to do in 2020. This is Dr. William Clark, and I will see you in the next show. Peace.